Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. Today's video is going to be another solved true crime case, and I just wanted to preface this video short and sweet. I don't normally preface my videos like this, but this is a local case, and I mean very local, to the point where I actually went to school with the victim. I didn't know her personally, but if anyone that I know that does know the people involved in this case, I don't mean any disrespect by filming this video. Personally, I just want to get this message out there, and I just want to get the story told for them. If you guys are new to my channel and you are not subscribed, now's the time to do that. If you want to subscribe to my videos, I like to make true crime videos and just talk to you guys and hang out. Also, thank you to all of the new subscribers that I've gained recently. Thank you guys so much for all of the support, and thank you guys so much for taking time to listen to the stories of the people that I'm talking about. Yeah. So today's video is going to be on the Keller family murder, along with the Camp Keller bunker. So the story takes place in North Bend, Washington, and if you are unfamiliar with North Bend, Washington, it is a pretty small town that's located like 30 minutes outside of Seattle, and it's absolutely stunning. It's really popular for recreational activities, so hiking, climbing, river floating, like literally anything outdoorsy, that's North Bend. I spend a lot of my summer times in North Bend. It's absolutely beautiful. The Keller family consists of 3 people. The mother is Lynette Keller, and she also kind of goes by Lynn. I think I read that correctly. And then the 18-year-old daughter, her name was Kayleen Keller, and then there was the father is Peter Keller. But just to give you guys some brief backstory on the people that we're going to be talking about today, Lynette is the mother. She was very active in the community of the North Bend, Snoqualmie area. She was loved by so many people. From what I read, she was a very giving person, a very caring person. I read that she would give to families in need and to neighbors in need during the holiday time, and she just had an absolute heart of pure gold. Kayleen was the 18-year-old daughter, and she was absolutely beautiful as well. She was incredibly intelligent. Her goal was to go to DigiPen school. It's like a technology institute, and her passion was video game design, which I just find to be such an interesting passion, so unique. So Kayleen was actually attending Bellevue College at the time, which is crazy because that is the college that I attended, and she was basically just getting her pre-classes done before she wanted to apply to DigiPen, because it was a pretty difficult school to get into. It is a difficult school to get into, so she wanted to get the stuff that she needed done first before she went to her dream school. Kayleen was known to have a very happy life. She had a boyfriend that she loved dearly, she had a lot of friends, and she just seemed to have a very normal, happy life. On April 22nd of 2012, the police responded to a call of a house fire in the area, and when they arrived, they were able to put the fire out, but unfortunately, they did find the bodies of Kayleen and her mother, Lynette. The cause of death for the 2 of them was unfortunately a gunshot wound. Not only were they found in their beds, but unfortunately the family pets were also found in the exact same state. So when the police arrived, they noticed that Peter was not there, and that eventually kind of raised some red flags to them. I would imagine pretty immediate, and they essentially just put out a search warrant for him because they figured he probably had something to do with the involvement of the case. Police decided to do some interviews just to get an idea of the family and just kind of the situation overall. So one of the people that they interviewed was Kayleen's boyfriend, and he was able to provide them with quite a lot of information that's really going to help kickstart this investigation. Kayleen's boyfriend told them that Kayleen had often told him that the father was very concerned that the end of the world was approaching, and he truly did feel as though the end of the world was going to happen and that he needed to prepare for it. So that immediately kind of struck some cause for concern for the authority. When the police started investigating a little bit more, they interviewed some of Peter's coworkers, and they were pretty similar answers to what Kayleen's boyfriend had mentioned. So they knew that he was an outdoorsy person, they knew that he was heavily into guns, and he was a very quiet person. He was out in the woods for hours at all times. He never told anyone where it is that he was going. He never told anyone what it is that he was doing. They just figured that he was an outdoorsy person and just liked being out in nature. Authorities then began to post signs everywhere, and the local media was on high alert for him because now it's been a few days and this man is nowhere to be found. And they have pretty high expectations that this could definitely be the person of interest. So they started posting pictures of his red Toyota pickup truck just so local hikers around the area may have noticed like a pattern if he was parked in front of any trailheads throughout the years, or maybe he was just spotted along like a dirt like service road. Basically any information to kind of give them some sort of sense as to where they should start beginning their search. Because there's so much forest in the area, I mean, you can't just like pick one spot and cover the entire area. Like, this place is huge. There's mountains. There's so much terrain that they have to go through. So as much information that they could possibly gather will just help them to find where he is. Once authorities have entered the home, they were able to uncover computers and like hard drives with a lot of photos on them. And these photos are going to be another huge clue when it comes to solving this case. The photos that they uncovered were photos of a bunker that he had been in the process of building for years. So they literally saw these photos of each stage that Peter was creating this bunker out in the middle of absolutely nowhere. There was no clear indication as to where it was, but due to some of the positions of the photos, they were actually able to kind of compare it with other photos surrounding the area to really kind of narrow down and pinpoint where this potential bunker could be. Because now they know, he was an outdoorsy person, he very well could have been out in the woods, but now that they know that he had this secret bunker, it's pretty clear that that's probably where he is. So this was the number one priority of solving this case and finding this man. Digging a little bit deeper, with the bunker and the things that people were saying about him, the fact that he was a very survivalist type man, they kind of really had an idea for the kind of person that he was. They found out that he loved obviously being in the outdoors, he loved guns, but they also found out that he is not fond of authority, and a lot of people said that he could potentially be the type of person who would get in a fight with an officer or just any sort of authority figure. One photo in particular was actually taken from the inside of the bunker, and this is where they were kind of able to see where they should begin their search. So it was basically looking outside of the bunker, and they could tell that it was facing the opposite direction of the mountain. So that really helped narrow down their search. So what the cops did, the police officers, they knew that he wasn't a fan of authority figures, so they decided to disguise themselves as hikers in the area. Like I mentioned, it is a very recreational area in North Bend, so they disguised themselves as hikers in the area just in case he was in the bunker and they were in the area of the bunker. They didn't want him to see police officers in uniform and react to it. He was interested in guns, and because this is something that they think that he has been working on for a few years due to the photos that they found, they knew that he was hiding, and he was most likely hiding extremely well, and that he definitely could be arming himself. So they were actually pretty worried that he may have even been in the forest using a scope from one of his guns to get a clear, like, bird's eye view of people who are searching in the immediate area. Washington in April is still very wet, and the soil can be kind of uneasy to walk on, so these people were completely miles away from actual trailheads. So normally trailheads are very well kept and it's a very straight path of where you're walking, but they figured that he's completely off the beaten path, and they were heavily in the woods. Like, they were probably 2 to 3 miles out of any like trailhead. So they were very deep in the woods. The terrain at the time was so steep and so hard to navigate that one of the officers actually fell and broke his ankles. This area was not for unexperienced hikers. This was somewhere that they were convinced that he was hiding. So they didn't really get too much luck. They kind of still believed that that was the area of his location, but they didn't find the bunker by foot. One of the local police officers in the North Bend area noticed from a farther distance near out in the woods was smoke coming from the woods. So he kind of had this idea that maybe that's an area that we need to search because that very well could be him. Maybe he has a fire going, who knows, but there clearly is someone out there or something's out there. So they eventually were able to kind of narrow down their search even more. This time, officers decided to bring a lot of backup. So there was literally a SWAT team and a bomb squad, like part of the SWAT team that came, and tons of police officers eventually swarmed the bunker because they actually did find it. And it's crazy to me that they even found it. Thank God that there was like a smoke signal, because this thing was very, very hidden. Like, there are interviews from the officers that I was reading and listening to that they're just astonished that they were able to even find it by foot because of how hidden away that this bunker was. And it was completely underground, so there was really like no solid evidence of it really even out, but they were actually able to find it, which is just crazy to me. When they found the bunker, they were very unsure of the state that it was going to be in, because from the evidence that they already have, you know, they know that this guy thinks that it's the end of the world, and he has clearly been working on this bunker for years, indicating from the photos that they saw. They know that he obviously has weapons because they think that he was involved in the murdering of his family, and they also think that there could be potential traps around the area, and they wanted to play it as safe as they possibly could because they really didn't know what to expect upon approaching the bunker. So when they approached the bunker, they were surrounding the area, they were searching the area for any traps that may be around, and this actually lasted 22 hours. Like, they literally were surrounding the bunker for that long just because they were so unsure of how to handle the situation right away. And you know, if they think that there are traps or bombs or anything that could be a potential threat to multiple people, they're very cautious about it. You know, they're not just going to bombard the bunker because they think he's in there. Like, they have to be very careful. So essentially, they searched the area and they decided that they wanted to fire a few warning shots to see if he would retaliate against them or maybe if he would come out and surrender, and nothing happened. So eventually they decided to take even more stronger efforts into the situation, and they actually eventually decided that they were going to blow the top off of the bunker. So they were able to completely blow the top off of the bunker, and they noticed there was no like gunshots coming at them. There was nothing happening. So that's when they decided that it was time to swarm into the bunker. When they got in to search the area and search the inside of the bunker, this is when they realized how in depth this bunker actually was and how this whole thing was structured. Inside the bunker is where they actually found the body of a dead man that was presumed to be Peter, and later discovered that he was after testing, and he was dead due to a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Upon looking through the bunker, they found expected things like food, water, but like large supplies of them. They also found a lot of drawings and sketches inside the bunker indicating that he had been working on this thing for about 8 years. So a lot of time and a lot of energy had been put into creating this thing. It wasn't just like a hole in the ground. Like, this was very well thought out, and this was just a very well thought out bunker. They say that it was about 20 feet down in the ground, and the entire foundation was actually laid with concrete to make it more sturdy. They actually noticed that there were pulleys on the tops of the bunker that he had used to move heavy objects up and down, so lumber to build things on the inside and to bring in boxes. They also found over 13 guns, 13 or more guns in the bunker. They found a ton of ammo. They found bulletproof vests. They found police scanners and radios, binoculars, so they knew that he was listening to the police. They knew, I'm sure, that he was looking for them if they were around the area. It was pretty self-explanatory. It was a multi-leveled area, so he actually had like many years put into this, and it was structured very well to withhold the elements. On finding all of those things, this is the one eeriest thing that they found, and I'm not going to play clips of it. You can do your research on your own, but essentially they found a video, and this was a video that Peter had filmed himself about 2 weeks prior to murdering his family. And in the tape he mentioned about a lot of different things, but I'll kind of touch points on a few. Basically, he was talking about how he was just so done with living his civilian lifestyle. He felt like his life was only, paying bills and working every day, and he just wasn't happy living this life of waking up and doing the same routine, which, that's kind of life, but he wasn't having it. He literally mentioned inside of the video that he would rather live a lifestyle of robbing banks or robbing pharmacies because it was, quote, more exciting to him than living his normal civilian lifestyle. Basically, this just kind of indicated, this whole thing indicated that this was a planned out thing. So whether it was planned out, 2 weeks before he murdered his family, like he knew that this was the ultimate plan. Like this was something that he had thought out. It wasn't just done on a whim. So they're thinking that this possibly could have been in the makings for years, if not, months or years. But he's been building this bunker for so long that how long has he had this plan to kill them? To this day, we don't really know how long it was that he had planned to do this, but clearly in the video, it does indicate that 2 weeks prior, he knew what he was going to do. He essentially tried justifying it and was talking about how he does think it's the end of the world, and that if the police do, start finding clues or start figuring out where it is that he is, that he's just going to end the whole situation by killing himself. And that's what he mentioned in the video. Now, I'm sure that there's a lot more in the video. I personally remember when they released this tape to the public and they played it on the news, and I saw it online, and it is just the most eerie thing to listen to and to watch. And if you want to do it, go for it, but I'm not going to play it on this video. They found out that he cleared his bank accounts after the incident. He had taken all the cash out of his bank account, and it was actually still in the bunker. And Lynette's family was actually able to have access to that money and then any of the other money that was associated with the estate. And they were actually able to put it towards a scholarship that they wanted to create for DigiPen in the name of Kayleen, because they knew that that was her dream school. That was the one positive thing that they wanted to bring to this story. And I just found that to be so heartwarming and such a cold and horrific story that some form of positivity could have been brought out in it. The police did offer the family to see the video before it was released to the public, and they refused to watch it, which completely understandably so. They didn't want to know, they didn't want to hear anything that he had to say. They knew the damage that he had done, and there was nothing that he could do to justify what had been done to them. So I completely understand them for not wanting to see it before it was released to the public. What's crazy about this whole case is every time you hear, something just so out there, like a story that's so out there, or a story of someone snapping, a lot of the time people say, we wouldn't have expected this to happen. When the family was interviewed, they literally mentioned that they didn't know, but they didn't know of any marital issues that were going on. They didn't know, they knew that he was a quiet dude. They knew that he was someone who liked to be out in nature, but they didn't know the extent to a secret bunker, and that, he thought that the end of the world was near, so the actions he did were justifiable. They had no idea that someone like that could be the person that they thought that they knew. And that's just why I like to make these videos, as weird as that sounds, is to just, it goes to show that you don't know people's true intentions. We don't know how long he had this planned out for. We know that someone could keep this bunker a secret for 8 years and do something so horrific to their loved ones. It just literally is so devastating. So yeah, that essentially completes this case, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to the stories of these victims whose, I feel like their stories just kind of get tossed to the side or forgotten about a lot, and that's why it's so important to make these videos for you guys. It's today's video, you guys. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!